Agri and Food Affair with Peter and Kobela.
Looking this guy. How's it, Mr. Masan?
I'm good, Khupulang. All right.
Correct. You guys look tired like you are from the farm. Are you okay?
Yeah. Things are getting hectic, man. It's been a long. It's only 2 days in a week, but it feels like long.
Yeah, but remember our week runs from Tuesday to Tuesday. So it's always that issue when people ask you how is your week. It means that the last time listening up until the second time I see you, that becomes your week pretty much. FM, our audience is on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for watching. Sure, geez, very interesting. So today we're talking about the barrier to entry for beginner farmers. So hello hore that's pretty much some hurdles or the challenges of the and so on, and today we're just going to talk about them. But before we talk about yeah, you're thinking so barriers. Yeah, so barriers, obstacles.
We are pronouncing this English as black people, but anyway, it's not a problem.
Yeah, obstacles, challenges that people will come across on their journey to become successful farmers.
Just for simple and clear. I mean, we know in any business, not only farming, the challenges when you want to enter into any business. So I think farming as any other business, you'll have challenges. How can but it looks like some businesses or some industries are more tough to enter than the others.
I mean, more level 1. Funny enough, did I hear the president that we only go to level 1 kind of once October, or was it just my thinking? Or are we already on level 1?
It was your thinking.
It was just my thinking. So we're already on level 1. So level 1, what does it mean for agriculture sector? So level 1 are related to fly in and out of the country, borders, and also tourism sector. So those two sectors inale a lot of consumption in between. So if you take a flight or Cape Town, for example, they'll provide you with a meal. It means the farmers supplying a company like Sky Chef will then start to make a bit of business, especially when contract or holo contracted to a particular contract, and so it will actually help you so that you sustain your business, especially because a lot of the businesses, especially in farming, we like contracts because they offer some sense of certainty. I mean, agriculture is so uncertain. Ukalema today, tomorrow, pula ya matla, and it just wipes away everything. So at least some farmers prefer some sense of sanity, so the bakonoba at least some surety in their business. So Sky Chef is actually going to bring back all the farmers, Paneba supplier, Sky Chef, so that they can help. So that's one of the advantages. Our advantage to tourism, we know when people are on holiday, they want to eat. So level 1 is welcomed by a lot of farmers because the production will be we're going to go back to the old normal of having to undersupply in this country. Remember, we're not producing enough food in this country because of all the activities that are happening. We just can't produce enough, and as a result, sometimes we have to import food into South Africa. So yeah, I think probably the biggest news this week leading was the fact that we're allowed to go back to into level 1, and there are some benefits to that. But something very interesting away from the COVID-19, or actually in line with COVID-19. COVID-19 as compared to malaria.
Mm-hmm.
Malaria has killed more people in Africa and is still killing people in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, COVID-19 it forced us to the borders.
Mm-hmm.
It's forced us to close our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
It's also forced to close our homes. Yet malaria is killing more people, more than COVID-19. But we are not forced to close our homes. It's interesting. I want to find out who is giving us this instruction who must close the African continent. I think the Western politics are affecting Africa a lot.
But Kobela, I'm going to differ there, because I think the whole rationale of closing down the businesses and the country, so to speak, is the way it's transferred by human contact, by human interaction and human, as compared to malaria. Malaria is not
Contact.
What is it? Yeah. Malaria you can only get it through a mosquito bite.
But how to what level can you avoid a mosquito bite? Because when we are next to each other, definitely one mosquito can bite us all.
Yep. I'm saying human contact. So in everyday life, you have people
Human contact.
Yeah. Mosquitoes bite you, and you know, remember, malaria in its own zones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you get malaria infectious mosquitoes, and where you don't. I'm saying chances of us sitting in this room getting malaria from one person. If one person is sick with malaria, it's not going to give any of us. It's not going to infect us.
It's not transferable.
So we won't be able to transfer.
Until there's a mosquito there.
No, I'm saying, remember this COVID-19, it's only transferred through what you call saliva or whatever. That's why we had to do it.
Yeah.
So, chances of a mosquito coming, biting you, we're sitting here,
are very slim.
But sitting here talking, by the time we leave here, we could be infected.
Someone, yeah.
Yes.
All of us, not even one.
That makes perfect sense.
I understand why we had to close businesses in our homes. And it makes sense. But let's talk about the economics of this and how it affects our daily lives.
Okay. Are
So,
you still comparing it?
No, I'm not comparing the two. Yes, I am still comparing them, but I'm comparing them on a financial basis.
Yes.
Malaria still kills people till today. Right? People are dying from it way more than COVID-19. But the IMF will not give us the same amount of money as it would compared to COVID-19. So that's my issue. That the economics of it are not.
I think we are viewing this thing in a very this is perhaps comparing it to the other diseases, like it sort of the bed, not the flu that was, what do you call that?
Swine flu.
Not swine flu.
Bird flu. What was it called?
We had in what do they call that flu? But that was
Influenza. You're talking about
it's an influenza, but it has its own name, which it happened some many years ago, where it wiped out a whole lot of. Still, we haven't even reached that with COVID-19. But what I'm trying to say is that this is a new. Remember, malaria. We have a vaccine.
Right.
It's curable.
Right.
You know, we have medication that can do that.
Yeah.
This is something unknown. This is something that we don't have a vaccine to. This is something that we have no experience of. You know, so meaning that you had to act. You had to act, because, I mean, judging by how people were dying in Italy, and how people were dying in other countries, and there's no cure. There's no prevention method that you can do. You needed to act, because if then as a leader you just keep quiet, you don't act, you say, no, we'll see.
You're making perfect sense, Mr. Masai.
Then it might be irresponsible.
However, I want to get to the point, Kobela, in his economics comparison. What is the point that he wants to?
No, the point is, forget how many people it's killing.
Okay.
The amount of money going to malaria and the amount of money going to COVID-19 are not the same.
Okay.
And that's an issue. Something that just came overnight, we could act, but something that has been killing our people, we are slow to act, and that's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there are some basic challenges a beginner farmer is going to be faced with, but I think they are old, in inverted commas. When I mean old, I think they are easy to deal with.
Okay, the challenges,
So,
yes.
yeah, you will find a lot of people talking about access to finance, access to market, access to knowledge. All of that, all those three, are a thing of the past. We shouldn't be talking of those as barriers to entry, unless Peter disagrees with me. But in my view, and perhaps maybe I've been in this industry for so long, we've found ways, which I will share with our listeners today, on how to circumvent issues of what I feel is old challenges. I don't know what you think.
Okay.
I think that I would to a certain level, to agree with Kobela, but I think where I used to work, my boss as a journalist and stuff, how when you write and you tell people something, you would write with that, with having in mind, thinking that because everybody knows.
Okay.
So you used to call it a curse of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because and you assume that. So basically, you are not hitting it on your writing, because you are not explaining things that you feel like I shouldn't explain. So basically, I think one major challenge, what I've seen and what I've observed in all these years doing this thing, the biggest challenge for me, obstacle, is information. And I'll explain, because if you have information, you are able to circumvent, as Kobela is saying, the challenges, other challenges. If you know various ways of getting land, that is information. If you know, you would know how then I would tackle,
which goes to information,
the issue of land. If you know who gives finance and how they give finance, you would know that. So my concern is the major concern for me is information.
Yes.
I had a conversation this week with a colleague of mine, and who does sort of a radio show on another radio about what is actually the barrier, the biggest barrier to enter this thing, and we came to this conclusion that it's information. But you see, with the new technology now that we have, cell phones, we are able to get over that barrier.
So the information is no longer the challenge.
It shouldn't, but it still is. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But look, I mean, I agree with you. It still is. It still is a barrier to entry, information. And I think information rounds up everything, which is true. I mean, you look at how we can talk about finance, but then we can talk about good finance.
Okay.
And the difference between good finance and just ordinary finance is information.
Okay.
So if you don't know the difference, it means you're not informed.
Ke go utlwa pele.
So I agree with Mashallah to say yes, information is probably the primary of anyone's success in the agricultural sector. But I want to raise something that only some barriers information cannot solve.
Okay, like what?
Like a social ill. That's a more psychological barrier. Like a fair example. So, Hopolong, you want to get into this business, yeah, agriculture, but or formally you come from a background, yeah, accounting. So you are used to having an office and so forth, and you're relatively successful in people's eyes. Now you decide, I'm no longer going to be working in this cushioned office. I'm going to be working outside. It means the conditions of the climate will affect me negatively, and also for and so all sorts of things, you know. And now, you know what I mean. So now all of a sudden, the society is saying, "Mara Hopolang, what are you doing? Are you leaving a cushioned job to go into agriculture and feed the nation?" Do you understand what I mean? The whole day. Now, that's a barrier. Many people, if you're not strong psychologically, it will become a barrier, and information might be difficult to overcome that sort of a barrier.
Okay. I would also just like to disagree again.
Disagreeing a lot.
Because, you see,
okay.
I would also just like to disagree again.
Disagreeing a lot.
Because you see, before you enter any sector, any business,
yeah,
information is key. You must understand what is it that you are getting yourself into, or understand, because then the people are not informed. That's why many business fail. People jump into things, and you find out after some time that but this thing, it's not for me. I was not expecting this. I was not expecting to be in the sun the whole day. They said no. They said now I can come here. There are tractors. There are big tractors that I can ride Kirkamahare through GPS. But you don't know that thing costs 3 million. You know, and you can't afford it. So it's an issue again of being informed. Be informed. Read. You know, I was I was visiting a farmer last week in the Val, and he said he tells me he practices what we call regenerative farming, conservation farming, where you try to work with nature in terms of producing. This man tells me that I read an article. I picked up a magazine, a farming magazine, and read an article about this type of farming, which was practiced in Brazil. At the time when it was not fashionable in this country, it was practiced in Brazil, and how this thing sort of changed the farming industry in Brazil to keep their soils healthy. And there's a lot of things about the regenerative or conservation agriculture that people do. So this person, I mean, and Adam Goga, then for years that thing sort of disturbed him. He like picked it up, but this thing was not practiced more high. You know, and it sort of disturbed me, and he started doing his own research and all that. And today, this conservation agriculture, he's been doing it now for years, but now today it's become, you know, it's what we call no-till. I think we know another thing. It's now a norm in the country. So what I'm saying is that with information you are able to go beyond psychology, because what he said to me is that after that he then consulted with the white commercial farmers and said to them, look guys, there is this thing, you know, conservation agriculture. Can we do this? Can we do? The white farmers, commercial farmers said, no, this has not been, this thing, we can't do this. We've been doing this thing this way, like this, and And this gentleman didn't give up. He did, and he kept it up until he met the right people who helped him to do it. Now those farmers that he consulted before are following it, are now doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that with information, if you leave your office, you leave whatever you're doing to go into anything else, any other things. If you are not informed, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And if you are not informed, you are not going to be able to change your mindset. You understand? Because that's the barrier that Kobela is talking about. Mindset. Because it's an issue. Yeah, mindset. They're already like, okay, fine. Things have been done this way. This is how things are done. But why can you change this thing and stuff like that? So I think information plays a key. But I want us to move from this issue of information and move to the practical, more practical.
Before we pass on, Mr. Mashala, ke na le potso fa nna. Jaanong, ga go nne bothata fa o fitlhela ile gore ba dikgwebo tsa balemirui di a faila ka lebaka la the pattern in which they use the information, and I will make an example. Say it is in an open gore cucumber e lemega bonolo go phala tamati. Ebe o fitlhela ile gore now everybody is o lema tamati, o lema cucumber e bonolo. Now that information, as much as it was used, ga nke e dira di hindrances to the farmers.
I'm not sure if I understand you well.
Let me Sarah then make a clear example. Okay. Now we are 10 farmers. We learn gore cucumber e lemega bonolo go feta tamati.
Okay.
Then ebe 10 of us, or 8 out of that 10, e lema cucumber. Ebe o fitlhela gore beanong re tshwere cucumber e ntsi. Not all of us is able to sell. Such things at executing the information that we have, it is hindrances in the agricultural sector.
I think. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
No, I think the issue, it boils back to information, and I think now it boils back to that, because one of the things that should happen when you get into a business is, it's when I'm saying information, it means across the board. You must understand what you need to do for the production, and you must understand your market strategy, or your market whatever. So you need to understand, when I'm doing this thing, where am I gonna sell this product, and you must understand, or you are going to, when I plow or when I plant cucumbers, you must understand you are not the only person in the world that who's gonna plant cucumbers. But let me be frank. In South Africa, we are not. There's nothing that we call overproduction of anything.
No.
Okay.
In South Africa, so we still supplement our agricultural products through imports. So it's an issue that you must understand your marketing, because if you are going to say, if you are producing tomatoes and we are going to stand under the same tree, then you are not informed. We're under the same stall trying to sell the same thing. Understanding, let me give you an example. Relema spinach, and then relema spinach. 20, and then it's 40 of us who have spinach. You will be mad if you think you all want to sell to that same market.
But that's what's happening.
You understand? You will be crazy, because then you need to understand, okay, fine, how then do I get a competitive advantage to my competitors, you know? And then that's when Peter Kobela now. It's about economy of scale, and where you market your stuff and whatnot.
But also to supplement to what you're saying now, the biggest problem it's not the oversupply, it's the price. The farmer will always complain about the price, because I'll always want more. If I can get more, I'll want more. Now, when we get into details, whether market is a barrier to to new entrants. And when I said it's an old thing, there are so many places today where you can sell your produce without having a license to sell.
Okay.
Ge ke lemile, ke phakile vene ya ka on a busy corner, I need no license to sell. Ge ke lemile and I have enough produce to take to the market, I need no license to sell. So that's why I'm saying it's an old challenge. It cannot be a barrier in 2020 that you are saying there's no access to market. The issue might be a price, yes. Then we're taking a different story altogether. But the market is there for you to supply.
Could you clarify the issue about the price?
Yeah, look, I mean, that's why I say, tamati, mashallah lima tamati, we are coming from different locations. So if someone alima tamati alogo zanin, nege lima tamati kilimo Winterfeld. First of all, it takes me 40 minutes or 40 kilometers to reach Tshwane market. It will take him an over 200, 300 kilometers to reach Tshwane market. We cannot bring the same volume because you are not only a higher expense, yeah, cost, yeah, travel. Now I don't have it. So therefore, his price and my price tends to be different in terms of what we need to survive.
Yes, I get you.
Like, understand? So often we make that mistake, and that's when we talk about the economies of scale in order for me to supplement the price. So if the price is the same on that particular day, the economies of scale is meant to supplement the fact that the price is low. And I use the price in order to make sure that I'm still in business.
Yes.
So in other words, you use what is at your disposal.
Yeah.
Kobela in Winterfeld may be able to produce a tomato and is closer to the market. And now we talk about a competitive edge. What makes one competitive now? In Tsanin, I will let Kobela produce his tomatoes in summer. I know he's not going to produce in winter. But I know that I'm going to supplement my losses during the winter period, because in Zanin you plant tomatoes across the board from January to whatever you can grow there. So that's where I agree with Kobela. Look, there's not that issue. You must understand.
Finally, you agree with me.
You must understand the business that you are going into and understand what are your limits and what are your opportunities. Understand? So that's why I said to Kobela. Kobela can you look at now location. Equifan, I'm far from the market, but my advantage is that in Zaneni maybe also the land is bigger. I've got much more bigger. I can plant as much as I can for in Winterfeld. Really 10 more So that is now how you talk about a competitive edge or advantage. So I think we have dealt with the issue of markets. The issue of markets for me is it's more the price, as Kobela has said, and again it's an issue of understanding how, because the problem here is Ntona, it links the market links back to the funding, the finance. So the two are intertwined in a way that in our very skewed and our very corrupt system of funding, the businesses or the small farmers and stuff like that, when you go to a funder, they will tell you, I want a contract.
Or letter of intent.
Or a letter of intent. Or understand. That is where the challenge comes. Because then, where do I get that? It's either I get it from Pick and Pay, or all these major, who doesn't want to touch the smallholder farmers? They do it for political reasons and the BEE thing. But if you go and say, you'll sell, as he said, you don't need a license to sell at any point in time. But the problem is that because it's linked to your finance, and finance then will be linked to land, then that's when the whole challenge comes of barriers to entry. Because where I'm developing a farm, it's a communal land. I don't pay anyone. I go there and I've negotiated my way with the chief and all that. But the problem is that the bank is not going to give me money because that land does not belong to me. Sure. Understand? Because what they want is that, okay, fine, if you fail to pay us, we're going to take this land.
Yeah.
But now, because that land is not attached to me and it cannot be sold, so there's nothing that they're going to sell unless I say, okay, you can take my house.
Yeah.
But and we're still paying for them now, so I don't own the house.
But let's talk about the letter of intent, Kobela. That's
Yes,
another
I
big-
wanted to know what it is.
Yeah. So letter of intent, kilongolo that you would get from your buyer of your produce. So Hakilimile spinach, Shaka, who was here as a retailer, you can give me a letter to say I will buy this thing.
Okay.
And then between January and June, I'll pay 4 rand. Mara between August and December, I'll only pay 3 rand. Now it boggles the mind, even today, that banks still need this letter when people are dying of hunger in this country. I don't understand. Where is the logic in where on a daily basis, and the bank still asks you for a letter of intent when people need food on a daily basis? Those two, I don't understand why it still becomes a barrier to entry. It's just, that's why I say how this country is being led, it becomes a problem because people do things without applying logic. It's common sense. But you need to feed them, therefore there's people to buy this food. So why do I need a letter to show that people will buy this food? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'll note that down and then we with the authority from the station manager, people from department into this question.
I think let's go back to finance. This is another big barrier to agriculture. But I still say it's an old area. The challenge, the new challenge is asking for too little money. So the bank borrows me money, but I ask for too little. I'm a starter. I don't know how much to actually need.
Okay.
So I say, hey, bank $500,000, but in actual fact I need 1 million or 3 million. So now it becomes a barrier for a beginner farmer to grow the business. Why? Because initially you asked for too little money.
So also in the beginner or in the person?
In the beginner, because the beginner does not have information. And that is the biggest mistake a lot of beginners do. They ask for too little money at the bank. Like Carlos said this, the application to borrow 1 million, 10 million or banking is the same.
Okay.
Because
I'm trying to imagine when I come to you, Kobela, I need to start a farm, 500,000, and then with your knowledge as the person who deals with finances, you must already know. I'm only imagining. You must already know that my plan is not going to work at the amount that I'm requesting. Therefore, you are going to not get your returns. I'm thinking that way.
Well, banks are in business, and they'll try and give you enough money, A, just to get you out of their doors, B, because you are a black person, will just give you enough just to survive, but not enough for your business.
Okay.
And that's a problem, simply because we are just satisfied just to get bunyane. When we can talk about finance in length on how to get good finance. And don't ask the bank for too little money, because it might not seem as a barrier when you start, but it will be a barrier for you to grow as a beginner.
Are you saying, Kobela, when I want to ask for that money to be helped, they're not going to ask questions that are going to need answers that will support to the sum that I'm requesting.
Well, I get the bank sometimes. You know, people, we get agricultural economists who supposed to know this information. But if you are meant to grow your business from 1 hectare to 2 hectares, that will be in your business plan, just to say, this is my plan, this is what I want to do. But this person does not have, when I mean this person, the agricultural economist, cannot think for you, or you want to take this business to 10 hectares or in 20 hectares in 4 or 5 years' time. So we often are too even scared, because remember, it's a risk. So we only ask enough money just to get started. And the growth we are assuming for organic growth from the profits that we grant, yet had we asked for the right amount of money in the beginning, then it would be easier for you to take this business and grow it faster.
Mr. Masala, before I allow you to partake in that one, do you think for this kind of a problem is leading to the collapse of so many cooperatives?
Oh, no. I think the cooperative model copies from overseas without having a full understanding on how the corporate system works. In many people who are successful in corporate, so we're having common, what's the English word now? English run away, but
Yeah.
but the model Warona in South Africa, it was not right. So the failure to cooperatives, we can talk about it the whole day, but the highlight the model recopies from people who didn't give us the information, and that led to many cooperatives failing. I think there are very few cooperatives that are successful. I'm one of part of a cooperative that is successful, but perhaps maybe I'm one of the few. The level DTI 300,000. You know, when you start, you register a cooperative. But what's the cooperative incentive? Each and every cooperative must get 300,000. We never got it. Till this day, the DTI says they don't know where's our application. So that was one of the reasons why we actually started a cooperative. Lerona, we didn't have the information, but because we were told about this grant, 300,000, we were advised to register for the cooperative. Going back to the issue of Marshall, we were not informed entirely.
Mr. Masana?
I think the issue, yeah.
No, go on.
The issue of finance and as Kobela, you know, Kobela was very simplistic in a manner that when you think when I live here, I can just waltz in the bank and ask for the money that I want, you know, and it may give people wrong impression, you know. So I think the problem of access to money is that we are dealing with a system that really is very reluctant, or is resistant into terms of developing other people. I'll give an example of the olden days where the farmers used to get money. You know, the gentleman that I was talking about, the regenerative farmer that I talk about, he also told me a story, because he said he worked for the Tatswana Agri Bank at the time, and he worked for Land Bank, and he left the Land Bank because of this issue of saying the funding models of our farmers are wrong and are working against the. So one of the reasons why we are not, people ask for too little money, is because this is what you qualify for.
Okay.
Not the business, because I don't think there's anyone who write a business plan and say I'm gonna do 2 rand profit. I think everyone writes a business plan and say this is going to be profitable. Yeah. You know, and if it was that simple that you can go there and but the other issue is that in our, especially our DFIs, development finance institutions that belongs to government.
That's CIFA.
The CIFAs and that we have
Yeah.
people who don't understand the industry, who have no clue, who assess your application. They give them tick boxes. They give them a list of things as you tick. If Kobela Unale has get land, no, you go what, and then you are assessed based on the tick boxes, but not really on the viability of your business, because the person does not understand in the first place. He's not been a farmer. He doesn't. Compared to the olden days, most of the people who work there had farms and all that. So he will tell you, this is not going to work. This is going to work. You know, and they will help you through the process of developing that. But today it's applications. They pile. They just go through them and
they approve.
And no, they don't approve. I mean, only because look, in the land bank. Let me give you an example of the land bank. The land bank. Only 8% of the land bank funds have been given to black farmers. 8%.
Yeah, sure.
You can think of that. You can think about that, and ask yourself, are people not applying? Understand? Because people apply for 50 million that we want, but it's not asking little money. It's an issue that, are you bankable most of the time? Because I'll tell you about this gentleman who was telling. He said, "Look, people must work on their credit scores, credit records, and what. That's how you qualify for money."
Yeah.
Kobela, in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I will agree with my colleague that yes, information is probably the best way to become successful as a beginner farmer, and we should allow ourselves to be informed by not only academics but even people who've been in the industry for many years.
Furthermore, Kobela, how does one contact you guys for getting more information?
Oh yeah, so we are reachable on Facebook. You can go to AgriFood Affairs Network. You can send us a message there and we should respond.
And a number?
Oh yeah, do we have a number?
We have a WhatsApp number which is 084-484-4049.
I want you to repeat the number, sir.
084-484-4049.
And that's a WhatsApp number, right?
It's a WhatsApp number.
Gentlemen, I thank you, and I salute you.